California water use, drought mitigation, and the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, presented by Daniel J. Music. We'll be looking over the following topics: an overview of California's drought and current water use, a geographic location of the city of Rio Vista, its historic background, and some policy concerns about water use, especially in times of drought. 4 points here, mostly about California and its water use. So California is a Mediterranean climate, which means that it gets most of its rain during the winter months, and then throughout the rest of the year it gets sparse rain, in some cases no rain for some months of the year. It relies heavily on the storage of its snowpack in the Sierra Nevada mountains that surround the valley, and as much as about a third of California's water can come from that snowpack, which fills reservoirs, specifically Oroville Lake and Shasta Lake up in the north, and as well as other reservoirs throughout the state. The population of the state has doubled since about 1970, so it went from 20 million to about 40 million today, and in about 50 years, and no new reservoirs have been built since that time. In recent years, increased frequency of drought leads me to believe that an adaptive management strategy may be beneficial to manage the water resource, especially in Northern California. On June 15th, 100% of the state was in a drought, with about a third of the state in the highest category of drought, particularly around the Bay Area. If you look in the North Bay area, that's the location of the city that we're going to be looking at, Rio Vista. It's in D4, which is the highest category of drought. So speaking of Rio Vista, this is the city that we've chosen to take a look at because it's at the hub of California's water system. You'll see why in a moment. It's located in the North Bay, and it's just adjacent to the California Delta. California Delta is at the intersection of the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers that open to the San Francisco Bay, and it's at the center of one of the world's largest water systems. Water from the Delta, it's transported to millions of people throughout California through a series of canals, aqueducts, pumping plants. In fact, there's one pump that raises the water 2,000 feet to go over the Tehachapi Mountains to send water down to Southern California. So Rio Vista, located along the river right there in the center of California, is at the heart of California's water system, so it provides a good venue for assessing potential water management strategies. Rio Vista itself, however, utilizes groundwater for its water supply, and it has 8 pumping stations. It utilizes about 4 million gallons of capacity for its storage. It services about 9,000 people. Threats to Rio Vista's water system include salinity from the Delta, nitrogen, and pesticide use in the surrounding areas. There's a lot of rural farmland around this area that could potentially get into the water supply. During the drought of 2015, this statement was released by the local police department in Rio Vista. And these are water use restrictions, some of which came from the state that were being followed by the local police department, but that included, even in odd watering days, no lawn or garden watering where excess leaves the property onto the sidewalk, for example, or runs down the gutter, and no watering when it's raining or washing of vehicles on days that occur outside of the normal watering schedule. Also, you couldn't have a hose without a valve that was able to shut the water off. So these types of restrictions mainly they've become reactive. So when a drought occurs, new restrictions are imposed as a reaction to the drought. But it's because of that, it seems like it's reactive instead of proactive. Opportunities seem to exist for the use of adaptive management, innovation, and stakeholder buy-in for the management of water resources, particularly in innovation and the use of potentially the use of ways to improve water usage and reduce them, potentially increase water storage, or find different sources for water. All of those could be brought to bear to improve Rio Vista's water system.